You may have done your best. You gave it your heart and soul, but you didn't get the position. The relationship didn't make it. The business didn't succeed. God is saying to you, how long are you going to mourn over what you lost, over what didn't work out, over what wasn't fair? God told Samuel, fill your horn with oil and be on your way, for I have chosen another king for you to anoint. God was saying, Samuel, you're focused on what you've lost. Yes, it wasn't fair. It wasn't your fault. But your destiny is not in what you lost. It's in what you have left. It's significant that after King Saul was rejected, after Samuel's first choice didn't work out, his next choice would be David, the greatest king that ever lived. If you'll stop mourning over what you've lost, then like Samuel, you'll come into something greater, something better, something more fulfilling than you've ever imagined.
Expand yourself. Take yourself out your comfort zone. If you stay in your comfort zone, that's where you will fail. Success is not a comfortable procedure. So you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable if you ever want to be successful. Now, like I was telling you before, if you want to be ordinary, you ain't even got to listen to me. Just go on about your business. But if you are sitting in this room and you have extraordinary aspirations, then you're going to have to do extra. It's no other way. I'm sorry. You have to decide if you are willing to do the things to put you in that category. Rich people don't sleep 8 hours a day. The Bible says, he who loves to sleep and the folding of hands, poverty will set upon you like a thief in the night. I'm going to ask you one question, I'm going to go. How many of you in here know somebody who loves to sleep? Let me ask you something. Ain't they Pope?
I want you to max out your life. I want you to max out your business. You got to get a little bit more intense. You got to stop being so dadgum casual. If you're going to play the game, let's play to win it. Every single day has to be a pursuit to get better, because you are ultimately chasing the destiny version of you. Do you hear me on that? Say yes. You're obsessed with what other people think about you. The thing that's going to kill your dream is your addiction to other people's approval.
Do you have the courage to act outwardly on what you see inwardly? Do you have the courage? It takes courage to be successful. It is far easier not to be successful. It takes courage to be exceptional. It takes courage to be rich. It takes courage to be knowledgeable. And I'm just wondering, in this reality TV world we live in today, I'm wondering if there's anybody left that's got the courage to say, after all I've been through, I didn't come through all of that just to fit in with normalcy. It takes courage to be different. It takes courage to get you outside of the box. It takes courage to win. Do you have the courage to stand there though the storms keep raging? Do you have the courage?
It takes courage to act. It takes courage to start over again. Somebody said that courage is going from failure to failure without losing enthusiasm. When you have something you want to do, if you don't develop the courage, life will move on you.
Courage. Ambition requires courage. Ambition requires that you fight off fear. Fear is one of those things, one of those emotions that can stop people dead in their tracks, foregoing success and achievement. Fear can rear its ugly head in many ways. Remember the old saying? You have nothing to fear but fear itself. You can be afraid of looking ridiculous. You can be afraid of change. You can be afraid of the competition. You can be afraid of loss and destruction. We're not always born with courage. We're not always born with all the fears either. Maybe some of your fears are brought on by your own experiences, by what someone has told you. Now, some fears are valid, like walking alone in a bad part of town at 2 in the morning. If there isn't fear, there's probably a bit of ignorance. Once you learn to avoid that situation, you won't need to live in fear of it. Fears, even the most basic ones, can totally destroy our ambitions. Fear is an enemy. And let me tell you about some of the other enemies we face. One of the enemies that you've got to destroy before it destroys you is indifference. Drifting away from your ambitions. You can't drift your way to the top of the mountain. Next one, an enemy inside all of us, indecision. The thief of opportunity. It'll steal your chances for a better future. Take sword to this enemy. Next enemy on the inside is doubt. You can't believe everything, but you can't let doubt take over. Doubt the past and doubt the future and doubt the possibilities and doubt the opportunities. I'm telling you, it'll destroy your life and destroy your chances and empty your bank account and empty your heart. Get rid of it. Next is worry. We've all got to be alarmed, but we don't want to be conquered. 3 o'clock in the morning, your daughter's not home yet. You've got to worry, but you can't let worry loose like a mad dog that drives you into a small corner. Drive them into a small corner. Whatever's pushing on you, you've got to push back. Guess where illness is in your life? Illness is constantly testing the outer edges of your health plan. And if illness can find a weak spot, it'll muscle in and take the territory. Unless you've got enough discipline and power to say, I'm going to fight illness like an enemy. The next enemy inside is overcaution, the timid approach to life. And if you let it go and go and go, it'll conquer you. Timid people don't get promoted. They don't advance and grow and become powerful in the marketplace. Do battle with the enemy. Build your courage to fight what's holding you back. Do battle. Have the courage to fight back. Here are a few techniques to help build your courage. Number one, put all remote possibilities out of your mind. Don't spend your time thinking about all the bad things that might happen to you. Courageous people don't worry about the unlikely, things out of their control. They concentrate on what they can control. Number two, make a list of the worst that could happen, and you'll probably see that it's not so bad after all. Once you face your fear, you can move on. And if you've looked at the possibilities beforehand, you'll probably never be faced with the situation at all. And by contemplating what might happen, you'll chart your course to make sure that it doesn't. And the third technique to build your courage is to imagine the alternative. See in your mind the end result of giving into your fear. Then really feel the gain of following your ambition courageously. Weigh the two. See the difference. Once again, it's your choice. Be fueled by your fears or face your fears.
Decide to live your fantasy. The choice is in your hands, satisfaction or despair. Decide not to make your life predictable. You don't get much juice and happiness out of life like that. Want to create a greater sense of fulfillment? Challenge your fears. Don't allow them to rule you.
You have this kind of convoluted, limiting belief about why you can't do something right now that's your own BS story you keep telling yourself. How about you just decide it's a lie, even if it is true?
Listen, you don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great.
But it's hard to let go of what you've been holding on to for so long, even if it's not working anymore. It's really hard to let go. It's like, beg you, see it differently. I beg you to let go. It's not normal. It's just old.
It's time to drop it and move forward. You may be a product of your past, but you don't have to be a prisoner of your past.
Everything that's inflexible and everything that's not ready and everything that's backwards and everything that's negative and everything that's carnal and everything that's holding me back, I refuse to take it over into another year and waste another new year with an old mind. The devil is a lie.
Just because you're used to it doesn't make it normal.
Some of you are taking too much time trying to convince people to love you that do not matter. Tolerating and trying to get people engaged that don't matter, that don't care, that are never ever going to help you get into your destiny.
I came to preach to somebody who everybody else might have given up on you, and life might not be where you want it to be, and you might not have been what you could have been, but it's not too late to become who you are.
Depending on anybody else. It don't matter what your mama think, It don't matter what your coworkers think. It don't matter what your siblings think. It don't matter. This decision is yours and yours alone.
People want to know how to stop the laziness. They want to know how to stop the procrastination. They have some idea in their head, some kind of a vision, what they want to do, but they don't know where to start. They don't know where to start it, They don't know where to start. And so they say, hey, where do I start? And when's the best time to start? And I have a very simple answer for that. Here and now.
God may be giving you more to work with than what you are working with at this time. You may have far more things that you can potentially do than what you're doing right now. That's why I don't like to hang with low-thinking people, because they'll make you underutilize what God has given you. You need somebody to challenge you that you could be doing more than what you're doing right now. You could have more than you have right now, and somebody's got to be bold enough to look you in the face and empower you to go into the enemy's camp and take back what he stole from you.
For every time you have a plan, a dream, an aspiration, or a goal, do you know what happens every time you have one of those? This thing comes along called life. Life is hard. It happens to everybody. Life has disappointment. It got peaks and valleys. You're going to lose somebody you care about one day. That's a valley. Somebody going to close the plant you thought was going to stay open so you could retire. That's a valley. Somebody going to fire you for an unjust cause. That's a valley. Because it's life. You can stop thinking that life fitting to be easy, because I got news for you, it ain't.
And those problems you think you've got right now, when do problems really become problems? My problem becomes a real problem when I lose my perspective. My problem becomes a real problem when I give up and I just say, forget it. Your problem becomes a real problem when you start feeling sorry for yourself and have a pity party. Your problem becomes a real problem when you get bitter and you start blaming everybody else for your unhappiness. That's the real problem.
Guys and gals, don't give up. Man, if you get to the point where you're kind of weary and you're going, I'm facing struggles at every turn, don't give up.
You just need some faith, man. Faith don't make it easy. Faith makes it possible.
We find ourselves announcing our standards to our relatives, our friends, our associates. We shout our beliefs and condemn those who believe any differently, but then we don't walk the talk. We end up acting in a way far different from the beliefs we've shouted. This is inconsistent. This leads to a loss of credibility among those who watch us. And more importantly, this leads to a loss of credibility within ourselves. The only thing worse than one who is inconsistent in applying their self-imposed disciplines is one who has never considered the need or the value of discipline at all.
So what kind of courage do you have? Is yours sort of floating between depending on the situation? Or do you know the difference between right and wrong for your life? And you've made up your mind. Our mind is the control tower of our life. All of our decisions are there. And the truth is, whatever we are today is the result of what we've been thinking about all those years. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So if you don't like what's going on around you, maybe you should ask yourself the question, what am I thinking about? What do I think about myself? What do I think about other people? What we think about is really what controls us. This is a control tower, that everything else is a result of how we think. And we can't control everybody else and control of all of our circumstances, but we are going to respond to circumstances in one way or the other. And so what you have to ask is this: what is it that determines what I think? This mind of yours controls everything else in your life.
Are you satisfied with your life as it is? Are you? Is your life giving you
Hey there, welcome to my channel Dailykeymotivation 2024. Today speak the most basic ones can totally destroy out ambitions. Fear is a enemy, and let me tell you about some of the other enemies we face. One of the enemies that you got to destroy before it destroys you is imperfection. Drifting drifting away from your ambition. You can drifting your way to the top of the mountain. Next on an enemy inside all of us in decision. The fear of operation, it still your chances of for a better future. Take sort of this enemy. Next enemy on the inside, it's doubt. You can't believing everything, but you can let doubt take over. Doubt the past and doubt the future and doubt the possibility and doubt the opportunity. I am telling you, it destroy your life and destroy your changes and any empathy your break account and empathy your heart. Get rid of it. Next it worry. We all got to be alarmed, but we don't want to be conquered.